Entrepreneurs Enigma is a podcast for the ups and downs of entrepreneurship, so the wins and the fails that we all face being entrepreneurs, and how we learn from adversity. Every week I talk to a different entrepreneur with a story to tell. I'm Seth Goldstein. Come with me on the journey. This is Entrepreneurs Enigma. Let's get started. Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of the Entrepreneurs Enigma podcast. I am, as always, Seth, your host. Today I have Kasey Jones, who I know through Jay Klaus's Accelerator Creative Science Lab. I also know her through the internet, in the interwebs, because she's prolific on video. And we were just talking in the pre-show about how video makes it so everything's a lot more personal and all that stuff. So let me bring Kasey in here. Before you get in there, she helps accelerate growth for startup founders, and she helps them do them in a few different ways. She revamps sales and marketing messaging, and she does a lot more than that. We'll bring her in and we'll have her talk about that. So, hey Kasey, how's it going?
It's going well. How are you?
Not too bad. So we were just talking about also the weather. I always ask about the weather. How's the weather in Portland? You said it was
The
really
weather in
nice.
Portland is fabulous. It is gorgeous.
Yeah, it's actually not that bad here. It's like in the mid-80s here today.
Yeah, that's
But
not bad.
it's humid here.
Yeah, see, it's shocking. Even though we get lots of rain in the winter, we do not get humidity. Like, it's not like the East Coast. My hair is sopping wet right now because I just got out of the shower because it's 3 hours earlier for me. But I grew up on the East Coast, and let me tell you, there were a lot of really awkward years for me with my very big curly hair.
Yeah, big hair moments, yeah.
And Portland, I have fabulous hair, which
You're
makes
the
makes
Portlandia
life
hair.
much easier.
Exactly, that's awesome. So Kasey, tell me a little bit about you. How did this whole growth, helping startups get found, and growth and figuring out how to scale and coaching, how did this all get started?
Well, how it got started, I started my career in B2B sales.
Okay.
And I started my career in B2B sales not because I was like, "Ooh, I wanna be a salesperson." It was like I went to a very nerdy intellectual college,
A lot
and
of us did that. A lot of us of our
a lot of us
generation,
do
we
that.
did.
But,
We went and got a basic degree thinking, "Oh, we'll figure this out later. Let's have fun."
Oh,
Yeah.
100%. And I graduated college, like, literally having no clue even, like, what a person could do for a living,
Ooh.
let alone what I wanted to do. And I love my parents, but my parents were very, like, hands off, and so they gave
Yeah.
me 0 guidance. So I was like, "I don't know." So I think I saw an ad like, "Can you talk to people?" And I was like, "I could do that." So I got into
Exactly.
sales.
Or
And
at least it was B2B sales, so you got hung up on a little bit less.
yes, yes.
A
I
little.
got into B2B sales. I started, I don't know, doing all kinds of things, and then ultimately made the transition to tech. And
Ooh.
while I was there, I made the transition into marketing. I had been running an SDR team,
Ooh, so
and
you moved up pretty fast.
I did move up pretty fast.
Yeah. So you were good at talking to people.
I was good at talking to people, very good at building relationships, and I think growing up as, like, a theater nerd made me
Ah,
really good at, like, scripts and giving my pitches, and, like, I was never intimidated by that.
that's great.
Um, and so I made the transition to marketing and did really well there as well. Had 0 guidance, like, no real training, and just figured it out.
A lot of us are like that, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of us are like that. Sales just is like that. Like,
Mhm.
there's no you don't now there are books and things like that, and
Yeah.
apparently you can go to college for sales, but was not the case,
Yeah, why?
18 years ago
It wasn't or you couldn't go to you couldn't go to school for digital marketing back when we were in college either.
oh, no, no. I'm 41, like, when young people are like, "Oh, did you learn this in school?" I was like, "No."
Yeah.
Like, anything that I would have learned
I went
first
to
of
school
all,
for
my
journalism
school
for crying
definitely
out
didn't
loud.
teach that.
Yeah.
But anything I would have learned, yeah, you can learn the principles,
Yeah.
but the context and the tools and all the rest has changed drastically.
It changes
So
every 5 minutes.
every 5 minutes, and that's why you really do have to be, like, thirsty for knowledge, and I think also, like, a born experimenter, and I think
Mhm.
I just was that way, and so I wound up working at a bunch of different startups, wound up head of marketing for a really early stage startup,
Ooh. It's
and
always exciting and
it was
nerve-wracking.
really exciting. And then I got invited, and it's a long story that I won't get into. I got invited to lead a series of go-to-market strategy workshops in Beirut, Lebanon.
Ooh, that's exotic.
It was really cool for the first ever partnership between the UN and a startup accelerator.
Oh, wow.
It was really cool. So it was all social impact
Yeah.
startups. And my flight over there, I was like, peak imposter syndrome. I was like, "What the hell am I ever gonna be able to like, how can I help these people?
For the
I don't know what
UN,
I'm
for crying
doing."
out loud, yeah.
And I got incredible feedback about, like, how I was able to help them. And
Awesome.
actually, I think it was maybe a year ago, I got a LinkedIn message from one of the startups that was like, "Hey, I just wanted," and we did not keep in touch. And it was like, what, 5 or 6 years earlier that I'd worked with them, and he sent me a message and he was like, "Hey, just wanna let you know, we just got acquired, and a lot of what helped us be successful was what you taught us." It was
Save
really
that
cool.
note.
It was
Save
really, really cool.
that note
It
and
was
hang
really
it up.
cool.
Every time you have imposter syndrome, you look at that note and say, "Wait, maybe I know what I'm
Well,
talking about."
and here's what I've learned. What I've learned about imposter syndrome is I feel it every time I'm in the process of leveling up.
Mhm.
It's when I'm doing something that is uncomfortable, that I'm not sure about, and it's like now I view it as a really, really good sign. But
Yeah.
so I left Beirut, and my first day back in the office, the founders of the startup I was working for were like, "Well, we've run out of money."
Oh, no.
But and so honestly, I think I was like on a high of that experience from Lebanon,
Yeah.
and now I had this opportunity. And
You're like, "Okay."
so I started my own business, and truly the first call that I took, I had to reach out to a woman that we were partnering with on
Mhm.
something, and I reached out to her and I was like, "Hey, just so you know, this is what's going on." And she's like, "Well, what are you gonna do?" And I was like, I'm not sure." I was like, "I'm kind of thinking about going out on my own."
Good for you.
And she goes, "Oh, okay, well, we need marketing help, so I'll be your first client." That was my first call.
Oh my good, that is awesome. Because you obviously had a
And
good relationship and they, like, would
yeah.
like you. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's just evolved since then, and what I've realized is that because I have this hybrid experience of B2B sales and then, like, demand gen, I often understand revenue better than a lot of other marketers, and
Oh
I'm, like,
god, yeah.
more interested in supporting sales teams, and I know sales well. Um,
You kinda
and
moved up in that, that's how you get your cut your teeth.
yeah, and it's really, really helped me as an entrepreneur, it's helped me in the consulting work that I do, and also when I was at that startup, I realized, like, we were a team of 11, and so I wound
Yeah,
up mapping out all of the customer onboarding.
yeah.
Like, I did a lot more of the strategic stuff that hadn't was kind of
Y
marketing related, not
yeah,
really,
adjacent,
and
yeah.
and so a lot of what I wind up doing with startups now is and small businesses is I have a knack of I can go into any business. Give me an hour or 2 asking a lot of
Mhm.
questions, and I can find, like, low-hanging fruit of ways that they're leaving money on the table and how to fix it.
Ooh, that's cool.
So the one thing I will say that has also shifted for me in the last couple of months is I've joined a partnership with someone who he refers to himself as a sourcer. He'd be a good
Okay.
guest for your podcast, by the way.
You make
He
an
sources
introduction, yeah.
capital, he
Okay.
sources people, so like job candidates, he does recruiting stuff. And then he also is like a kind of a growth strategist like I am. And so we're teaming up
Oh.
on, when a startup is like, yeah, we want to grow but we need help, we need stuff, we need money, we need people, we can
All
help
the
do
things
that.
startups need. That's
And yeah,
wild.
all the stuff, and
All the
it's
stuff.
a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
Oh, that's great, and it's nice to have a team, even though you can be a solo practitioner, still have, team members. I mean, that's what we do at Goldstein Media, like, it's me, but I have a team of people that I can pull in when I need them. "I need help with this
Exactly.
website. Can you Hey, Olivia, can you do this? Hey,
Yeah,
Brian, can you do that? Like, Sean, can you help me with the SEO?" Like, that kinda stuff. I can scale up, which is, like, the way to go, in my opinion.
that's the way to go, and it's
Yeah,
the
versus
way
building a team, sometimes it's
we
not always the opportunity that you need to do.
No. And I think it's being able to kind of partner with people.
Mhm.
It definitely helps us, deliver more value to clients, but it's also more fun.
It is,
Like,
it's variety.
it's awesome to be able to, like, learn from someone else or see how their brain works or have them take something that, like, you could do. I bet you'd be, like, okay at SEO, but it's like have someone else who just kills it,
Yeah,
and
know
it's
what you're good at and
yeah.
hire a partner for the rest. We're gonna take a quick break, hear from our sponsors, and get right back to the show.
Yes, and I think that's the biggest thing, like,
Mhm.
I think early in my business, I tried to do too many things, and I
That's
tried to
me.
do too many
Mhm.
things that, like, I knew I could make money off of, but I wasn't good at,
Exactly, and
and I
that's one
didn't
of the big
enjoy,
things.
and it was, like, sucked
Absolutely.
the life out of me doing them.
So
Mm,
you've worked in-house and you've worked as
yeah,
an entrepreneur. What's
yeah.
the best thing about being an entrepreneur versus being in-house?
You're in charge of your own destiny,
Yeah.
and I think I am a very opinionated person.
Really?
Oh, shocker. Oh my
Yeah.
god. And it's really hard for me to work in an environment where you see leadership doing things where you're like, "That is a dumb move. That is not good. That is do not agree," and, like, you can't do anything about it.
Yeah, bite your tongue, yeah.
Yeah, and turns out I'm not good at biting my
Neither
tongue.
am I. I can survive
Um,
corporate. I lasted a year and a half in corporate, and I was like, "Nope, not for me."
yeah. Yeah, no, and I got suckered in and I did a stint of being an employee, and it was not good. It was really
Well
not
well,
good,
you
and
escaped again, so that's good.
yeah, and it was really like, it feels really good to be back at, like, full-time entrepreneurship. It was nice to have a little bit of a break, and it was fun to work on teams again,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Teams,
it's
not
not
Microsoft Teams. Teams.
no, y like,
Nothing's good about Microsoft Teams.
nothing is good about Microsoft
Microsoft
Teams.
Teams.
Let's be clear about that, and I did have to use that, and it was, like, such a
Oh.
disaster. They also gave me, like, an IBM laptop,
Oh,
and
see,
I
I'm a
tried to
PC.
use it for about 2 days, and I was like, "Nope," and I just did it all on my Mac, and my boss was like, "Just don't let the CEO see you on your Mac," and I was like, "Okay." 'Cause I'm like, "I'm not
Yeah,
doing
because
this."
you're either a Mac person or you're a PC person, and, like, yeah, like, I'm all PC, and I go to a Mac, and I'm like, "Why is the control key not the control key?"
Oh, I know.
Oh, it throws me off so much. I mean, I'm sure I could get used to it, but I'm like, "Why?"
No, once you've made your decision, it's really hard to switch, and I've been a Mac person for, like, 20 years.
Yeah, there's no
There's no
switching.
going
You
back.
you can't teach an old dog new tricks, right? And I mean to call you an old dog,
Am I
but you
the
know what I
old
mean?
dog? Am I the old dog in this scenario?
Well, when it comes to that stuff, it does.
Just
I mean, when
teasing,
you're
just
stuck
teasing.
on a technology,
Yeah,
20 years on a Mac, you're stuck.
you're
Like, I'm 42, so I'd say I'm 30 years on a PC.
oh,
I
yeah.
got a PC when I was 10.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, yeah, there's the control keys that I like. I won't go on a tangent here. I like Mac OS. I like Macs. I think they're very pretty machines. I think they work well, much better than PCs do. But I hate the keyboard layout. It's the
Yeah,
small
I
things.
totally get that, and I will say if I had to use the IBM, but I didn't have to use Microsoft,
There you go.
that would have been a different thing, but I had to use the
Absolutely.
IBM and Microsoft,
Oh, and
and I was
Teams.
like, no,
Not
not
happening.
doing it,
Not
not doing
happening. Alright, so what's the scariest thing? Because you jumped out of entrepreneurship for a year. What's the scariest thing? What's keeping you up at night with entrepreneurship? Is there anything?
Well, the scariest thing is the best thing. It's
Yeah.
that you are in charge of your destiny. Like, it's up to you. No one
Mhm.
is here to save you. No one else is gonna guarantee that you get a paycheck.
And then you can't
Like,
do that in
it's
corporate either.
all
I
on
mean,
you.
yeah.
And that is empowering, and it's liberating, and it's freaking awesome, but it's also really, really hard.
Mhm. That's wild. And
It
so
is.
what is the most important thing to carry with you all the time?
Ooh, I think the most important thing to carry with you all the time is your sense of self
Love
and
that.
your values, like, what really matters to you.
Mhm.
And part of that is what we were just talking about of, like, knowing your strengths. But
Mhm.
part of it is also knowing, like, what you actually wanna do. Because I think early on in my entrepreneurial journey, I made a lot of decisions that were absolutely smart business decisions,
Mhm.
but they weren't what was right for me.
Yes.
And I think it's hard to figure that out and know
Yeah.
that and know what is right for you. I had to learn it the hard way, like, multiple times.
It tends to happen.
Yeah, but I think that's the thing. It's like you've gotta hold tight to your sense of self
Mhm.
because it's really easy to get knocked about and to lose yourself along the journey.
Oh, that's wild. So where can people find Kasey Jones online?
So you can find me on pretty much any social platform. LinkedIn
Literally.
and Twitter are, like, where I kind of hang out the
X.
most these days.
X.
X. I won't call it that. I won't call it.
Rebel.
I mean, it's like if you wanna look at it on your web browser, you don't type in x.com, it's still twitter.com.
I know, it's the worst rebranding
It's the worst.
exercise
It's the worst,
ever.
and it's so generic. I also will say, and I talked about this, like, on Twitter with someone, um, logging into the Twitter app on my phone, when you're waiting for it to load and you see the little bird and it gets smaller for a second, then it gets big, and then the app opens, that is, like, this one subtle little moment of technology that I think was absolute pure beauty
Yeah.
and so wonderful, and it made me happy every time, and I would always think I would open up another app and be like, "God, they should really do that with their logo," like, boop, boop, like,
Now it's
it
an
just
X.
and now it doesn't do that at all.
Oh, you got rid of oh,
It doesn't
go
do
for it.
that. It just
And
loads
so
like a
it's
normal app, like, you don't
oh,
get this, like, this little moment of, like, I don't know, something that is
mhm.
totally pointless other than, like, to make you smile.
I love that. I love it. And you're everywhere pretty much a better
A
Jones.
better Jones, yeah.
Oh, I like that.
Thank you.
We'll have all her links in the show notes. And thank you so much for being on. This has been so much
Thank you so
fun.
much for having me, so much fun.
Awesome. And we'll see everyone next time. That was a great show. If you're enjoying Entrepreneurs Enigma, please review us in the podcast directory of your choice. Every review helps other podcast listeners find our show. If you're looking for other podcasts in the marketing space, look no further than the Marketing Podcast Network at marketingpodcasts.net. Goldstein Media hopes you have enjoyed this episode. This podcast is one of the many great shows on the MPN Marketing Podcast Network.